This is an interview conducted by Helen Ingram and Wendy Laird Benner with Carlos Castillo in July 2010.
Carlos, we usually start these kinds of things by asking how you got interested in the Sonoran Desert, or maybe even these general issues. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why it is that you got attracted to this kind of work.
Okay, well, I think it's a long story, but when I finished my university, I come to Sonora and work in my case, the reptiles are the animals that I like very much. So I come to Sonora and to the Centro Ecológico de Sonora in order to work with the reptiles in the herpetology area, and for things of the destination. In that moment, Centro Ecológico de Sonora start a new phase or a new. I don't know how to say in English, but it's a new kind of organization work, and the Centro Ecológico in that time in 1986 changed its structure, organizational structure, and create a new area who is called the research area. And the first project that this area started to work is the Sonoran pronghorn recovery strategy. So, and the first person that change or comes into this new structure is me, and I have the responsibility to start to work with the Sonoran pronghorn in Northwest Mexico, in Northwest Sonora, sorry. So that is the reason that I start to work in the Pinacate area, and that is the very beginning of my relationship with all the actors or stakeholders in this area, including the people from the Organ Pipe and Cabeza Prieta.
All right, so in some sense you got into this sort of by assignment from the center. I wonder, as you began to work in the Pinacates and work on the pronghorn, did you develop a certain feeling for the place that has kept you involved?
Yes.
Affection?
Well, I have no... at that time, I was very young, and I just go out from the university, and I have a lot of information about the Sonoran pronghorn and its habitat in the Sonoran Desert. So this is my first encounter with the real, like Hartman says in his book, is my first encounter with the Sonoran Desert heart. So I was in love in that moment with the desert and with the Sonoran pronghorn, and well, I start to work with in the area and knowing the people who works with this species and with all the people who lives in the Pinacate area.
Could you talk a little bit about the kind of people that you connected with, particularly those on the U.S. side and among indigenous people?
Well, my work with the Sonoran pronghorn started in the Mexican side, so I start to work with the people, with the ejidos, all the people who lives along the border, and well, in that moment, the Centro Ecológico start a new relationship with the Arizona Game and Fish Department. So my first encounter with the people from the other side was with the people from Arizona Game and Fish Department. In that time, was Jim DeVos and John Herb in charge of this project, and they were the people that at the first I have the first contact with in the other side, and during that time I know people from Organ Pipe, Cactus National Monument, Harold Smith, which was the superintendent in that time, a very kind and a very enthusiastic man. I think he was one of the main persons that I know, and the people that I started to work in a very, very good relationship. And people like Gina Pearson, I don't remember the name of the people.
I remember her, yes, I met her too. Can you tell me a little bit, when you say that you had a very good relationship, was that a matter of you began with some substantive knowledge about the pronghorn and then came to trust them? Did they treat you with a particular respect? Did they have bilingual skills? What was it that sort of cemented your good relationship with them? Perhaps it was even the shared love of the resource. What do you think it was?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
Well, I'm wondering, when you say you developed a really good relationship with people like Harold Smith and Jim DuBois, and I'm just wondering what that means. Was it a matter of trusting what they had to say? Was it a matter of respecting their expertise?
Okay.
Was it a good give and take, or what was it?
Yeah, I think one of the main problems was the language, the different difficulty to communicate with them. But at the very beginning, when we start to work with people from Game and Fish, Jim DeVos, which was the man in charge of the Sonoran project, Sonoran Pronghorn project, Jim was a person with speaks a very few Spanish, sorry, and I have some knowledge about English, a very basic English. So we start to trying to communicate, and I have a very few information about the Sonoran pronghorn. He had a lot of information about the Sonoran pronghorn. So I wanted to know and to have all his experience from me. So that I did was to try to learn about all the things that he knows. That was for the case of the Arizona Game and Fish, but working on the field in that time wasn't the Pinacate Biosphere Reserve was not created yet, or even so. We heard about on the other side of the border were two protected areas. One was Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument, and the other one was Cabeza Prieta National Wildlife Refuge. So we have the curiosity to know what these people are doing in these protected areas, because there was I don't know how to say in English, but un intento or attempt to create a biosphere reserve on the Mexican side at the beginning of the 80s. So that time was 1986, 87. There is not a long time since the first attempt to create a biosphere reserve on the Mexican side is very recent. So this curiosity take us to Organ Pipe and Cabeza Prieta and meet with these people. And I think most of the non-official relationship between the work of the Mexican people working on the Mexican side with the people from Organ Pipe and Cabeza Prieta and Arizona Game and Fish was the good I don't know how to say, but sorry, but
in español.
To believe in each other, and okay, to be honest, to be friends. I think is a very important part, because most of the people who works in the desert finally are friends, or were friends in that time, and so I think the trust, the respect, the mutual support. I don't know how to say.
No, you're doing a good job.
Yes, the good job and the good intentions in both parts, and all these different feelings is the reason that we formed in that time a very strong group of people working together.
Have some of those relationships continued to today? I know not all of these people are still involved, because Wendy and I have been trying to get in contact with them, and some of them are, and some of them are not. But have those feelings of trust and collaboration, cooperation continued until today? I know you're still involved with many of these same issues. How have things stayed the same or changed?
No, I think all this relationship has been continuing during the time. In fact, one of the first person that I meet on the Mexican side was an American people who is Peggy Turk from Sedo.
Sure, I know. I interviewed Peggy.
And well, I think is one of the most big friends and deep friends from me in that part. So the same with the people who still working at the Organ Pipe and Cabeza Prieta. Some of these people are moving to other cities, and I lost the contact. But I think the friendship and the good relationship continues during this time too.
Good. Can I ask you a little bit, Wendy's no longer on the line, about the Centro Ecológico? You said you were the first person working on this, and this was a new program for them. Can you tell me why they initiated this program in the 80s? I think you said that for a long time, maybe 20 years previous to that, there'd been some concern about biosphere reserve in the area. But was there anything going on at that particular time which made this a priority?
Yeah, well, in the Centro Ecológico de Sonora was created in 1984, 1985,
okay,
and was 1984, but was open to the public in 1985. And the idea to create the Centro Ecológico was to make some kind of something similar to the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum.
Ah, okay.
And the Centro Ecológico Sonora and Arizona Sonora Desert Museum was a very, well, thinking and rethinking before I started with the Sonoran pronghorn in the previous month or year to start to the Sonoran pronghorn. When I was working with the reptiles and the herpetology area, my first contact with people from the other side was people from the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. In that time, Mr. Howard Lawler, Tom Van Devender, a lot of very good friends from the Sonoran Desert, Arizona Sonora Desert Museum were having a very strong relationship with Centro Ecológico because the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum has a long of experience creating this kind of zoological or regional museum of natural history, and the people from Desert Museum was aware coaching to the people who works in Centro Ecológico in order to create the diorams and all this exhibition of the animals. So that was a very strong relationship, and the 1986, the administration of the Centro Ecológico de Sonora changes, and comes new people, a new director, and a new staff, and this new staff were the people who designed this new structure of the institution. Before this, Centro Ecológico was mainly for exhibition, like a zoo, and for educational purposes, not for research. And then with this new administrations, they created the research area.
Is that Ocaña? Is that the...
No, before.
Okay.
Ocaña was at Centro Ecológico in 1990, 1991.
So this was the previous
I'm talking
one.
about 1986
Okay.
with Dinora Retes. Dinora Retes was the new director in that time.
Okay.
And the staff of this person, Dinora Retes, create the research area for Centro Ecológico. And we start to work with Arizona Game and Fish Department, with the Nature Conservancy, with Susan Anderson. And Susan was a very key person in Centro Ecológico because she comes a lot of projects, binational projects, for the Centro Ecológico de Sonora. One of these projects was the Sonoran pronghorn.
Okay.
And she helped us to have this relationship with the Arizona Game and Fish Department when I started to work with the Sonoran pronghorn. So I told about this. I told you about that I was the first person during the creation of this new structure, the first person that was moved from the exhibition areas and education areas to the research area.
I got it.
Because one of the first project this new area started to work with was the Sonoran Pronghorn Recovery Project in Mexico.
Okay. Okay, that's really helpful. Now, I just want to go a little bit into the present. Some people have told us that one of the things that has happened since the last 30 years along the border is that there are many more very much better qualified Mexican biologists and other scientists in agencies and in institutions like yours, some of them educated in the United States, and all of that has fostered greater collaboration. As a Mexican working in this field, is that your observation? Have the skills and capacity on the Mexican side been improved, and do you see any threat to that in recent times?
No, I think, I'm not sure if I understand your...
Well, I just meant, forget the last part about threat. I'm just wondering if maybe the economic downturn is a problem for Mexican professionals. But the first question is, have you seen a great growth in capacity and scientific ability in Mexico in this biological area?
Yes. Well, definitely in the case of us, the people working in that
Yeah.
The skills and the experience created in Arizona was very important for all the works that we started in that time on the border side, on the Mexican side of the border. I recently in some meetings with the people from Arizona Game and Fish Department, Fish and Wildlife Service, we were talking a lot of this kind of relationship between both countries in terms of biological corridors, maintenance of the biological corridors, the sisterhood of the protected areas, and all this kind of the relation that start in 80s on the 80s, and all the time I say that before we start to, well, I don't know how to say in English, but at the very beginning, all this relationship start an unofficial way.
Okay.
Most like friends working together.